With the NFL draft less than 23 days away, we got to come to the table and ask if the Chicago Bears are approaching the NFL draft the correct way. And then Matt Eberflus is already excited about the offseason workouts. And then we're going to end today's show with a little bit of fun. Chase Claypool might be headed to the Canadian Football League, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it down, and have a little fun right after this.
Into Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears, baby. If you're with me today, make sure you're hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and tune in right in with the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears. Now, with that being said, with the NFL draft approaching fairly quick, we got to talk about if the Chicago Bears are approaching the NFL draft correctly. We know that a few weeks ago we heard Ryan Poles, go through and talk about some really cool things of what the Chicago Bears will be doing, heading and leading up into the NFL draft. Ryan Poles went on to say that, hey, we're going to break this thing up into different teams. One team is going to talk about why the tackle position is the best to go after. Another team is going to talk about why the receivers is the best to go out after. Another team is going to talk about the defensive ends and why we should go, look at that position group as well. Ryan Poles said that they're going to use factual information to spit that out. And he said, and quote, we'll have a debate in terms of what's more impactful for our football team for the short term and the long term. So I've read that. I know we talked about it a little bit, when it was said and when it, came out. But one of those things that we got to talk about now, at least when all things considered, is pretty much saying this. Is this the best way to approach the NFL draft? Me personally, I'm going to look at things from both sides. Now, Ryan Poles is doing something that I don't typically hear other GMs and organizations do. Most organizations you hear, yeah, we're having discussions with our scouting department, our coaches, and we're doing this. Ryan Poles is kind of mixing it up, having a little fun with this. Everybody's going to be assigned a position group. They're going to debate and stand with those guys that they believe is at the top of their list, and they're going to make the decision based on what's best for the team now and years down the road. Me personally, I'm looking at that as an ample opportunity to find somebody productive in this NFL draft. Now, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of young talent coming through that draft. You can go with the offensive tackles. You can look at Joe Alt. You can look at Fashanu. You can look at the center position with Powers. You can look at the defensive ends. My personal favorite is Leatu Latu. But you still got guys that you cannot turn your eyes at, like a Dallas Turner, like a Jared Verse. And then you talk about your wide receivers. Yes, you got your Rome Oduzes, your Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, and your Malik Neighbors, and so many other guys who have flashed during the combine, during their pro days, and during this entire process of trying to find the right prospect for your team. And this idea right here, I love what Ryan Poles has in place, because now you are allowing all your guys that are involved within the organization to have a voice. You might hear something that you never really thought about if you speak to your offensive line coach in SEMO. You might hear something that you never really thought about if you talk to one of your defensive back coaches. You might hear something that you never really thought about if you go ahead and talk to your quarterback coach and say, hey, I think this is the guy that we need to do. I think we need to build within the trenches. Or somebody say, hey, we need to make sure that we're good for the now and the future with the skill positions as far as the wide receiver. So this idea, in my opinion, is a really good approach before you enter the NFL draft, because now, while you're going to place those top players on your draft board, you're also going to have reasoning behind why you should take a player or why not you should take a player for the short term and the long term. So I love this idea of what Ryan Poles and the whole organization is doing. It's a little bit new, but I love the newness, the freshness to it. Y'all already know when you go to the car dealer, you buy that new car, and you know that new car smell was something different. It hit different. The new car smell hit way more different than the car that's on the used car lot. Yeah, they try to spruce it up and give it a new car smell, but you know when you go and you go ahead and buy your for my people that want to ride the big boys, go get you a GMC Yukon or a Chevy Tahoe or something like that. For my people that's rolling big like that, you know, when they got the low mileage and it smell fresh, you happy for it. You happy that you spending your money on something that you feel like is going to be worth the short-term goal of being able to have a vehicle and the long-term goal of having a reliable vehicle. So this is kind of like that same thing. I'm looking at it in that regard. Like, hey, Ryan Poles mapped it out. We're looking at one group that's going to have receivers. One group is going to have offensive line. The next group is going to have defensive line. We're going to talk about all this, see what's best for the team in the short term, but really, really harp in and zone in on what can be productive for this team in the long term as well. And I love that approach because me personally, I think that Ryan Pace, the former GM, looked at a lot of things as we have to get it done now. Ryan Poles, the current GM, is looking at, yes, what can we add now to be competitive, but what can we add in the future to be contenders? That's what I love about this whole idea. I believe the approach is good. I believe that it's set. You just really, really hope that these guys are holding each other accountable, saying the right things, disagreeing in the right way, and challenging everything. I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear some of these discussions so I can raise my little fly hands and rub them together like when that fly, chill on your arm during the summer and be able to say, hey, Ryan Poles, I don't know about I know you love Jared Verse, but he a bit slow off the snap, or bring up different things like that. So I can't wait to see what happens. I'm trusting in this organization right now. It hasn't always been pretty, but we gonna rock with them and we gonna make sure it's good to go for the foreseeable future. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you feel like the Chicago Bears are approaching the NFL draft the correct way with this type of format that they're going to have in place? They're going to break up into teams. Every team is going to be assigned a position group, and you're going to make your case on why that said player is good for the short term and the long term. I'm all for it. Me personally, we got to go get D-line. That's just me personally. Stay tuned for Bobby's mock draft. Last season, I hit on Darnell Wright. Let's see if I can hit again. But on to the next one. Matt Eberflus is already eager to start the Bears offseason program, ladies and gentlemen. The Bears offseason program is going to start on April 15th at Hallis Hall. It's a voluntary offseason program, of course. Matt Eberflus is excited about it, and I'm excited as well. Matt Eberflus went on to say the evaluation of the talent in the draft in free agency. I like that part. But what I love is when the players come back. This is going to be a critical 9 or 10 weeks in the offseason before we go to summer break. That's going to be fun to be able to bring those guys together. We're going to go ahead and install a new offense under first-year coordinator Shane Waldron and build a team chemistry and camaraderie. Matt Eberflus went on to say, I said it last year, the most important part that you have besides scheme is relationships. We're going to do a great job intermixing the team to make sure that we get to know each other on a personal level and a deeper level than just football, because I think that's the glue that holds you together. The steel, that's the middle of your football team, is the relationship piece of it. And I love that from Matt Eberflus. And he should be excited about Bears offseason program. And I hope that majority of the players, yes, it's voluntary, but I hope that majority of the new guys say, hey, let me go in and let me go ahead and get acquainted with DJ Moore. Let me go ahead and get acquainted with the defensive line guys. If I'm an offensive guy, let me go kick it with the defensive guys. If I'm the defensive guys, let me kick it with the offensive guys. Let me, get myself adjusted to this new team, and so we can continue to build this thing out. I'm really anxious to see who shows up and what they will be doing. You know what I'm saying? I think when you look at the additions of a Keenan Allen, you look at the additions of a Jared Everett, you talk about the offensive line guys and Ryan Bates and Coleman Sheldon and Bayard and et cetera, et cetera. You want these guys to feel like they are a part of a team, but you also want these guys to feel like they are exactly at home and what you need to build a culture of winning. I think it starts in the offseason. I think that when you want to build a culture of winning, it just doesn't start when training camp starts in July. It starts in this voluntary thing. And I think depending on, me personally, I will not hold anything negative to a player that does not show up to voluntary offseason workout. It's voluntary. But if a Keenan Allen shows up to voluntary offseason workout, a Joe Everett shows up to offseason workout, the offensive lineman, Bayard, all the new players, hell, some of the veterans that's on the team, DJ Moore, your Tremaine Edmonds, your TJ Edwards, your Javon Dexters, your Montez Sweat, the leaders of this team, if they show up, I'm going to give that more merit. I'm not going to hold anything negative for the guys that don't show up. Hey, they might have vacations planned out and may want to kick it with their family. That's cool. I'm not against that. But for the guys that do show up, I will definitely appreciate that, because those guys are telling me they are trying to be a key part and be a catalyst for trying to build this culture up. The Chicago Bears been getting smacked in the NFC North for the last 2 years, have not lived up to expectations, and it's been, gray hairs all over for the last 2 years. So a lot of positives in there as well, some positives in there as well. But I think that if these guys decide to show up, it'll be that much better for the foreseeable future of the Chicago Bears. You gotta put the work in. You gotta put the work in, and I believe that elbow grease or that grunt work starts during this offseason. So I'm hoping that we get Keenan Allen up in here with the DJ Moore and they working on some stuff. Or you getting the running back Swift up in here with Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, and they working on some things. Keep in mind, Roschon Johnson and Swift has already been working out together. So more of that. Build this camaraderie up. Build this team together. You got to be able to go into battle and know that your brother is right there and ready to knock a head off right with you. Let's start building these relationships now, and let's make sure that when is week 1 later this year, we ready to go. We trust in everybody that we about to go into battle with, and we about to put dubs in the win column and change the temperature of the team. This is getting me fired up, y'all, if you can't tell. But hey, let me know how y'all feeling about that below. Last topic of the day, just wanted to have a little fun. Former Chicago Bear, Chase Claypool, might be on his way to the Canadian Football League, ladies and gentlemen. Look, there's going to be a couple of y'all that comment and say, I told Ryan Posey he shouldn't have went out to Chase Claypool. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You, at the time of the trade, you was like, oh, snap, Chase Claypool. We know he had a little roughing up in Pittsburgh. Maybe we can come in Chicago and turn some things around. It didn't work out that way, though, ladies and gentlemen, but it's okay. It's okay. Now, one thing, I didn't know that Chase Claypool was born in Canada. So he should feel right at home if he's going to go ahead and make some noise in the CFL. Now, nothing has been placed, but Chase Claypool has been added to an exclusive negotiating list for the Saskatchewan. Nah, I'm gonna try again. Chase Claypool has been added to an exclusive negotiating list to play for the Rough Riders. I'm not even going to try to say the name, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. I'm not even going to try. But nonetheless, it's just sad, Chase Claypool, how you had so much potential, my boy. And now you might be going to a league that's a lower tier. But hey, you never know. You never know what might come out of this. Kudos to Chase Claypool. Wish you well, my boy. I just wanted to have a little fun with it just to end the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if I'm being petty, but it's okay. because we got Petty Roosevelt that's a part of the show. We got C-Dub that's a part of the show. We good. It's okay to be petty sometime, right? All right, enough of that. But that's it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Chicago Bears Central. I know it came out a little bit later today, but life be lifing, and sometimes life be lifing. That's just what it is. But thank y'all so much for tuning in today. If you got any questions, comment, feedback, concerns, go ahead and send us an email at chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. Make sure you go ahead and follow us on all social media platforms where you can happen to find us on at Shy Bear Central, the number one spot. We don't say it for nothing, but it's the number one spot for a reason. If you want to call in and be a part of our mailbag episodes, call in, leave your take, leave a voicemail, and you will end up on one of our episodes and we'll react to it. That number is 773-242-9336. Thank y'all so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.